welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today, I want to talk about a topic that confuses me a little bit, particularly about a brand, and that is Longines. You know, I kind of think I like them, but I'm not too sure, and I wanted to share my thoughts with you and get your input. But before we get started, customary wristwatch check. Today I'm finally wearing my IWC Vintage Collection Engineer limited edition Laureus. It's on alligator and summer's basically ending, unfortunately, so it's not that hot. And I had business meetings earlier. I was in a suit and tie, so I decided to bust this baby out, and I really missed it. This is my favorite watch in the collection, but I like to kind of save it for special occasions, and I don't want to wear it when it's too hot to ruin the strap, because they're pretty pricey to replace. But really happy it's back on my wrist. Anyway, Longines. Well, Longines is owned by the Swatch Group and was founded in 1832. And vintage Longines is highly collectible, especially their 13ZN movement, which is the first ever flyback chronograph movement in the world and is considered highly collectible. Longines used to be rather high-end, definitely up there. And recently they've kind of moved a little mid-market, especially where Swatch Group has positioned them. However, they make some pretty interesting pieces, which makes me kind of think, are they high-end? What do I really think about them? And I'm really confused. I can't make up my mind. Longines makes some beautiful pieces, particularly in the Master Collection, Centenier, and Heritage lines. They're very vintage-inspired, particularly beautiful chronographs, very World War II-esque, beautiful dials, but they use pretty generic movements, like in Valjoux 7750. However, they modify them a lot, and particularly modified only to Longines specifications. Most of them have column wheel chronographs, which Longines decorates in blue so you can see it. That's a really cool touch, and certainly something a lot more luxurious than an average 7750. Their movements are also usually decorated quite beautifully. However, they do a few other things that confuse me. For example, most of their cases are very single polish, just high polish, and that's definitely a way to cut back costs. And their alligator straps, while they're real alligator, they're definitely not of the highest quality and they're particularly thin. That's another way they cut costs. But as you can see from the pictures I put up here, first of the Master Collection, then of the Centenier, they make beautiful, beautiful watches, especially if you guys like the vintage-inspired stuff. Their Legend Diver, also pictured up here, has become quite a bit of a cult hit recently as well. But I can't decide. They make watches that certainly look expensive. Their use of very heavily modified ETA is cool in my book, but they cut corners elsewhere, like the cases and the straps. Not to mention, they play the unit game. Longines has way too many SKUs, SKUs being units, different choices. They make such a wide range of watches that range anywhere from $800 gold-plated quartz watches, like Le Grand Classique, picture right up here, to high-end, retrograde watches like the Master Collection, right up here as well. So I really don't know what they're going for. I think they definitely make their money in the units. They're a unit company. They sell a lot of stock. So I think most of their money comes from the lower end. However, they make a pretty good effort with the high end. They're also sold in high-end watch boutiques, but you can also find them in department stores. It's a pretty confusing philosophy and brand positioning, if you ask me. And I think the Longines of today also has almost nothing to do with the Longines of yesteryear. The high-end, in-house chrono stuff. That has actually held up really, really well, price-wise. Whereas Longines today doesn't particularly hold value too much, which is good because you can pick them up pretty inexpensively, but it's also bad because it hurts their perception of a high-end brand. I just honestly don't know what they're trying to do. Are they trying to play the unit game and sell $1,000 Swiss-made quartz watches? Or are they trying to move upmarket. I think they need to decide, because their high-end pieces are great, but it gets diluted with a lot of the other stuff they make. I mean, if they want to go down market, that's totally fine. But it's very hard for a brand to cover one or the other. Just look at Grand Seiko. I mean, Seiko makes some great mid-market stuff, but Grand Seiko doesn't sell well, at least in the US, because the perception of the brand is diluted with their lower-end pieces. I think Longines is going to start feeling that as well, even though since they're Swiss, they might have a little bit more cachet in the mind of the non-watch enthusiast. But I think they lack a direction and decide who they're going to cater to. So, personally, I think they make some great watches. I just can't decide if I like them or not. They confuse me as a brand. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for sticking around for another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Check out the description of this video for my Instagram account so you guys can take a look at some great watch content on the days when I don't upload. And please, don't forget to subscribe and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It really does help. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.